Hi all. Today we are going to explore the architecture of global economic integration, from the most basic form of cooperation between countries to the highly integrated system that characterizes modern economies. Okay, so economic integration is the process through which countries reduce barriers to trade. Okay, so barriers to trade, barriers, right? Of what? Trade, barriers to trade. Okay, movement of resources and economic cooperation. It is not an all or nothing concept. Instead, it develops through several stages, each involving deeper coordination. Okay, so we'll examine why countries integrate, the economic theory supporting integration, the benefits and cost, and real world examples like a European Union. Okay. Finally, we will discuss how globalization creates opportunities while also exposing countries to new vulnerabilities. By the end of this presentation, you will understand both the mechanics and the economics behind regional integration. So let's get started. So we will start with pursuit of flow, eradicating economic friction. Okay. So every economy contains friction, right? Like tariff, custom procedures, border inspection, different regulations, and incompatible standards all increase the cost of doing business. So whenever you are traveling from one country to another, you might have heard about some restrictions, right? You can't bring some things, or in trade, there will be some limitation, like these products cannot be imported, these cannot products cannot be sold in a particular country, right? And also, they reduce the import through some taxes, quotas, or restrictions, border inspections. So when these regulations increase, there will be a friction. Okay, so a friction which will isolate the country. Okay, so there won't be much international trade possible. Okay, so that will form an isolated state. Okay, so just imagine transporting goods across several countries. Every border adds paperwork, taxes, delays, and uncertainty, right? So these obstacles increases production cost and reduce efficiency. So when there is a lag or more amount that you have to spend on production, etc., definitely that's gonna increase your paperwork and payments and all. Cost of production will be increased. Also, the efficiency will be reduced, right? So we need economic integration. Why? Economic integration. Okay. So this is the integrated state. You can see that. Okay. So everything is connected, right? So economic integration aim to eliminate these frictions. So when countries cooperate and coordinate policies and remove trade barriers, goods, services, capital, labor, and technology can move much more freely. So, the result is faster trade, lower prices, increased competition, higher productivity, and stronger economic growth. So, in simple terms, integration transforms fragmented national market into one larger, more efficient marketplace. Okay, so now let's see the Nehru-Mahalanobis staircase model, the sequential escalation. Okay. So economic integration occurs gradually rather than instantly. So it's a gradual process. Okay, clear? So the staircase illustrates increasing level of integration. So the staircase increase shows the increasing uh, level of integration. Okay, clear? So from this to this and from this to this. Okay. So the first step is a free trade area. Okay, first step is a free trade area where tariff between member countries are removed. So we do have a lot of free trade agreements, right? So those countries who sign the free trade agreement, they can export and import without any taxes or completely easy trade, right? Where tariff between the member countries are removed. Second one is customs union. Okay, you might have heard about this many times, right? So, the customs union where members adopt a common external tariff. So, there will be a common external tariff. Next comes the common market. Okay, what is the common market? It allows not only goods but also labor and capital to move freely. Finally, countries may establish a full economic union with harmonized economic policies and, in some cases, a common currency. So, you might have heard about the customs union and common market, right? Because many people from different parts of the world are traveling to another country for their work and study, all these things, right? So, they will have rules and regulations which promote it when they have a more integrated system. Okay. So each stage requires greater trust, stronger institutions, and deeper political cooperation. That is why our political leaders, like the Prime Minister, President, they are visiting different countries. They are having meetings with other officials, right? So all these are to make things better and stronger for this, rules, regulations, agreements, some propositions, etc. Okay. So now let's see the free trade areas. What is free trade area? Let's learn that in detail. A free trade area is the simplest form of economic integration. So this is the simplest one. Okay. The member countries eliminate tariff among themselves while maintaining independent trade policies towards non-members. So elimination of internal tariff barrier. This encourages trade by reducing prices and expanding consumer choice, right? So when just imagine that our country have a free trade agreement with another country, okay, whether it is China or Japan, whatever it is. So now they can export their product to India or any other country with the free trade agreement more cheaper. So they can reduce the amount they paid as tax from their product price, right? So their products will be available at a lower cost. So this will help to increase the competition in the host country, and also the consumers will be able to choose from a wide variety of products. Multiple choice product will be available. Okay. However, because every country has different tariff on outside nation, there is a problem called a trade deflection. So goods may enter through the member country with the lowest tariff because moving freely with the free trade agreement. To prevent this, rules of origin are established to determine where products were actually produced. For example, uh, we can take USMCA and ASEAN Free Trade Area. Okay. So, what were the key characteristics? First thing, eliminating the internal trade barriers among member countries, right? And maintenance of independent external trade policies. Examples. And what is the trade-off here? Increased trade flows and the competitiveness, right? But risk trade reflection necessitating the next stage of integration. So we have to be very careful while we are providing the free trade agreements. Next, uh, we have customs union. So what is a custom union? Customs union build up on the free trade area. Okay, in addition to eliminating internal tariff, all members adopt a common external tariff against non-member countries. So this solves the trade deflection problem because every country charges identical tariff on import from outside the union. So for example, India, USA, China, and Nepal were on a free trade agreement. Okay, so all these member countries will impose the exact same tariff on a product imported from Japan. Okay, got it? So you can see member A, member B. Okay, so member C is a non-member. Okay, so goods from non-member with the same tariff. Okay, clear? So that is customs union. So the customs union simplifies customs administration and strengthens collective bargaining power during international trade negotiations. Okay, clear? So this solves the deflection problem. So we have examples like South African Customs Union and other arrangements, etc. Okay. So what was the key characteristics? Maintains free trade agreement features and adopt a common external tariff on non-member imports. That is how they do that. Okay, when they are purchasing something from a non-member country, they will both impose the exact same tariff on the same product. Okay. So although the countries lose some independence in trade policy, they gain greater regional efficiency. So what were the advantages? simplifies the trade negotiations and entirely prevents the trade deflection. So even though they lose some like independence in the trade policy, but these are more beneficial for them for the collective bargaining power. Now let's see the common markets. So what is a common market? A common market goes beyond the trade in goods. Okay, it allows the free movements of labor, capital, services, and entrepreneurship across member countries. So workers can seek employment anywhere within the market. So businesses can invest without facing major restrictions. So financial capital moves in to its most productive locations. Okay. So this improves resource allocation and increases productivity across the entire region. Okay. So what were the key characteristics? It encompasses the features, right? What kind of features? It encompasses all features of a customs union and unrestricted mobility of factors of production. What are the factors of production? Land, labor, capital, and entrepreneur, right? Including land and capital. Land is not movable. Okay, that's why we are not mentioning that. Real world example, European single market and strategic outcome. It forces deep economic interdependence and optimizes resources allocation across the entire integrated region. Okay, so European single market is one of the best examples where millions of people work, study, and invest across national borders with relatively few restrictions. So whenever you have a visa for any of the European country, with that visa itself, you can visit all the member countries of the European Union. You don't need another visa. Okay, so like that, they improve their economic structure through this integration. Okay, now let's see the integration diagnostic metrics. Okay, so we have free trade area, customs union, and common market. So here both will have elimination of internal tariffs, right? So in a free trade area, only tariffs between member countries disappear. Okay, clear? And a common market additionally allows free movement of labor and capital. So a common market will allow free movement of labor and capital, right? And in customs union, internal tariff disappear and countries adopt common external tariff. Okay. However, you can see a deeper the level of integration, the larger the potential economic benefit. But deeper integration also require greater policy coordination and reduce the national autonomy. So countries must carefully balance economic gain against the political considerations. Okay. So all the examples, pros and cons are given here. Pros are economies of scale and cons are minimal policy coordination. For customs union, reduces trade deflection. Cons are limited to external tariff alignment. And for common market, it is optimal resource allocation and a significant loss of sovereignty. Okay. Now let's see the mathematics of mutual benefits. Okay. So economic integration create gains from trade. Countries specialize according to comparative advantage. So we have comparative advantage and absolute advantage. So here we are discussing about comparative. Okay. So so according to comparative advantage, producing goods they can make relatively more efficiency, right? That is comparative advantage. So consumer, so the trade allows both producers and consumers to enjoy higher welfare. Okay. So consumer surplus increases because of the price fall and producers efficiency improves through the specialization. So the gravity model of trade explains that countries trade more with the large economies and geographically closer partners. So integration effectively reduces economic distance. So even if physical distance remains unchanged, therefore trade expands significantly after integration. So we mentioned about comparative advantage, right? What is comparative advantage? So when a country produces two, they have like a more advantage in some part of some products and they can buy the other product from another country. Okay. So, the trade flows can be predicted based on the economic size and geographic distance. Economic integration acts as a mathematical variable that artificially shrinks the physical distance by eradicating trade costs, thereby magnifying the gravitational pull between the member economies. Okay, that is what the mutual benefit. Clear? Okay. So let's see the Stoppler-Samuelson effect. Okay, the winners and losers. Although integration increases total economic welfare, not everyone benefits equally. That is for sure, right? According to the Stoppler-Samuelson theorem, owners of abundant factors of protection gain, while owners of scarce factors may lose. For example, skilled workers in advanced economies often benefit from globalization, right? Meanwhile, industries facing import competition may shrink, leading to job displacement. So, government therefore need adjustment policies such as retraining programs, unemployment support, education, and regional development initiative. So, successful integration depends not only on economic efficiency but also on managing its social consequences. Okay, that is the abundant factor and the scare factor. Now, let's see trade creation versus trade diversion. Economic integration produces two major effects. Trade creation occurs when consumers replace expensive domestic production with a lower cost imports from partner countries. So this improves efficiency and raises welfare. So trade diversion occurs when countries begin importing from a partner country instead of a more efficient non-member simply because tariff make partner products artificially cheaper. So trade creation benefits society. So trade diversions may reduce global efficiency. The overall success of an integration agreement depends on whether trade creation outweighs trade diversion. Clear? So this is how we represent that trade creation and trade diversion. Okay. So this is a lower cost non-member. So there will be this is a net efficiency gain and this is a net efficiency loss. So when designing customs union, policymakers must meticulously calculate post-integration equilibrium prices to ensure the volume of trade creation fundamentally outweighs the trade diversion. Okay. So we have a case study here about the European single market. So the European single market is among the world's most advanced example for economic integration. It enables free movement of goods, services, labor, and capital among member states. So this has increased investment, productivity, and competition. Businesses gain access to hundreds of millions of consumers. Workers enjoy greater employment opportunities across Europe. However, integration also creates political challenges, including disagreements over regulations, migration, and national sovereignty. The European experience demonstrates both the tremendous benefits and the complexities of deep integration. Okay, so regulatory framework, growth indicators, and political vulnerabilities. That is what we need to focus on. Okay. Now let's see the supply chain. Okay. So modern production depends on global supply chains, right? A single product may involve components manufactured in dozens of countries before final assembly. So deep integration lowers production cost and increases efficiency. However, it also increases vulnerability. Natural disasters, pandemic, geopolitical conflicts, or shipping disruptions can interrupt entire production network. That is what we saw during the Israel and US wars, right? So natural resource disasters are also a part of that. Okay. So the COVID-19 pandemic, it clearly demonstrates these risks. No. Today, many firms are adopting strategies like diversification, reshoring, and nearshoring to improve resilience while maintaining efficiency. Okay. That is deep integration and a systemic exposure. So economic integration influences far more than trade, right? It affects politics through international cooperation. So we need cooperation, right? There's a framework. Then it shapes laws through in the common regulations and the dispute resolution, right? Common laws. And technology. Definitely there will be technology and logistics, right? Technology spreads more rapidly through cross-border investment. Then sociology studies migration and labor mobility. Then environmental studies, they examine shared environmental standards and sustainability policies. Therefore, economic integration is not merely an economic concept, it is a multidisciplinary phenomenon influencing nearly every aspect of modern society. Okay. So, as we conclude, remember that economic integration is fundamentally about balancing efficiency and sovereignty. Greater integration improves productivity, lowers costs, expand markets, and encourage innovation. At the same time, countries surrender some controls over trade policies, regulations, and sometimes monetary policy. No single level of integration is ideal for every nation. Okay. Governments must carefully uh, examine them, right? Evaluate their economic objectives, political priorities, and institutional capacity, and long term developmental goals. Ultimately, successful integration requires maximizing the benefits of cooperation while effectively managing the associated risk. I hope it is clear for you. Thanks for watching.